Breaking news, the Utah Utes have got their offense, and it might be better than it's ever been before. The Utah Utes just throttled the Bruins, and we're breaking it all down right now on a live edition of Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. It's your first time tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. I know technically I said I was going to wait till the end of the game to go live, but this one's over. And wow. I mean, what else can you say than wow? I'm speechless in some ways. I thought this would go well for Utah. I predicted 32-17, but this was 43-10, just absolute domination from this Utah team. For Bird Ficklin to be in the game right now, like I did not see that coming. Thank you guys all who are joining in. Send in your comments, send in your questions. I'm going to give my general thoughts on the game first, just talk about what stood out. There's a lot, but we are absolutely going to get to all the questions and comments that you guys had. But I'm genuinely just here in shock at like how well this went. Like all of our best hopes for what game one of the Devin Dampier era of Utah football would look like were exceeded tenfold, right, by this performance. I'm watching it wrap up right now, just about under a minute to go here. But what an incredible performance by this Utah team. I think you have to start by talking about just how good Devin Dampier and Jason Beck were. From the very first play of the game, I knew that we were in for something special from an offensive game plan standpoint. When the very first play, it's Devin Dampier in shotgun. He doesn't snap it yet, but they send Wayshawn Parker in motion, and it's the screen to Smith Snowden. And because Wayshawn Parker goes in motion, he's got the momentum, right? So then he absolutely like flattens the cornerback out there. Like just that creativity is something that has been missing and lacking from this offense. I honestly haven't seen anything like that in college football in a long time. You guys can tell me if someone else has done that recently, but motioning a running back out to act as your lead blocker, it was just like, oh, this is going to be a really fun game plan. And it absolutely was. I could not believe how many different guys got involved and made plays for this Utah team. How I do my notes for when I'm watching these games is I have my laptop up and I'm keeping notes on a Google Doc. I had to also keep the Utah roster up because I was constantly scrolling, being like, this guy's making a play, this guy's making a play. It's not like some of the old years, right, where it was like, it's going to be Britton Covey, Solomonius, Dalton Kincaid, Brant Keithy, maybe like there was like 5 guys. Like there were so many people involved in this game plan for Utah, and that's a massive credit to Jason Beck, who I thought called one heck of a game. I mean, just constantly put Dampier and this team in a position to succeed. But even though he was put in a position to succeed, Devin Dampier still had to step up and show us what type of QB he is. Well, he was beyond spectacular. 21 for 25 overall, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 84% completion percentage, led Utah in rushing, 16 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown there too. He averaged 5 yards per carry. He was absolutely tremendous. I mean, just rifling it all over the field. The arm strength was on full display. The athleticism was on full display. There was one time he almost took a really bad sack and you're like, oh, how's this going to go? And then it's just like, boom, he makes it happen. He makes the guy miss. He wasn't sacked at all tonight. I was worried he might get sacked once just because he's, he lives on that dangerous line, but he didn't. I mean, just an absolutely incredible performance by Utah's new QB1. And on a day where so many teams in college football came out flat or disappointed, Utah did anything but that on both sides of the ball. I mean, this Utah defense they were bending and breaking at times, not breaking in the first half. I was impressed with that. But it was like, okay, how's this going to go? And then the second half, right, UCLA started to pick up some momentum, but it did not matter at all. And I've seen a couple people now, or someone just SuppBG basically said right away, like, hey, our offensive line is legit. That is the best part of this Utah team to me. The Utah offensive line is absolutely amazing. I can't even illustrate how just exceptional they are. I thought they would be really good this year. I've consistently said in the offseason they're a top 10 unit. I didn't know if I was ready to go 1 or 2, like in the country. Some people were. I still don't know if I'm there, but I got to be honest, after watching this game today, and there was a play late in the game where like Jaron Kump, I think it was, or Chinoa Tonga, like they missed a block. And I was like, is that like the first negative play the Utah offensive line has made all game? Because they absolutely dominated, decimated, demolished, whatever word you want to use for owning the trenches, Utah did against UCLA. The Bruins would pack the box. It did not matter. I loved also, just speaking of the strength of the Utah offensive line, if it's a strength, why not just keep building on it and making it even more of a strength? I love that Jason Beck brought an extra offensive lineman. Keith Olson was awesome. And I love that Utah would basically use him as like a fullback, a lead blocker, and just absolutely bury whoever they got in their way. This Utah offensive line works so well together. They're double teams. That was one thing I felt like that was really evident tonight. It's a Utah offensive line that's been together. It's Devin Dampier and Jason Beck who have been together. And UCLA has so much new that is trying to come together that it was a struggle at times for the Bruins. I mean, the timing was off frequently. A reminder, Nico didn't even go through spring ball. And I thought that showed tonight that he didn't go through spring ball, right? So I was so impressed with this Utah team, the defense, all the faces that stepped up and made plays. They broadcast at a stat like Trey Reynolds, the guy who got the interception there late. Trey Reynolds is a guy who he didn't even play in as many snaps last year as he played in tonight. And he was making a ton of plays. Jackson Benny. Well, and speaking of Jackson Benny, I mean, how about this? The Utah, all this, Travis Hunter did the dual, and obviously Utah had Sione Vaki before that, did the offense and defense thing. That's something they've done it before. Utah's like, why would we limit ourselves to just one guy doing that when we could have three guys do that? I was surprised at how, Lander Barton, Smith Snowden's role on offense. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Like Smith Snowden being a part of the game plan, sure, but he ended up being Utah's leading receiver tonight. He had 6 catches for 51 yards. And they just did everything they could to constantly get him involved. He brought in the first reception in the game for Utah, and he had the rushing touchdown too on the jet sweep. Utah loves their sweeps. That was one thing that was very evident. And this is also something we talked about, right? Last year, Andy Ludwig did not utilize, and even Mike Bajakian, right? I didn't think motion was utilized enough in this offense. And Utah was like, we're going to take the amount of motion we had last year. We're going to ramp it up to like a 10. There were guys flying all over the field, confusing UCLA. The fakes were constant. And because you have guys motioning across like that, a lot of times you see those linebackers, they just instinctively, they're going to flow to when they have someone who's running across like that. And that would happen frequently. And then Utah would run it the other way and do something the other way. And the results were devastating. How about Jackson Benny making a grab early? We heard about Lander and Smith, but then all of a sudden Jackson Benny, the former Olympus High School safety, is out there making plays on offense. Like what? Like it was insane. It was an unreal game plan. It was so cool to see so many faces step up. How about this Utah defense? I was talking about Trey Reynolds a little bit, but man, John Henry Daly, oh my goodness. And him and Logan Fano in the first half especially, and he was still good in the second, but like those two, Fano and John Henry Daly, they looked incredibly impressive for Utah tonight. I was really encouraged. Utah brought a lot of pressure tonight, but I don't know if they're always going to need to do that to get home based on how Fano and John Henry Daly looked. I was so impressed with that Utah defensive front. I thought the D-line battled well, did a good job. Shout out Carson Kafusi. Came in the game late. Maybe he was there early, but he popped late. He had a sack. This is a true freshman who had his senior season wiped out due to injury. And he bull rushes the Bruins starting center right back into Nico's lap for a sack. Like that. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. All the players who were stepping up for Utah. Cash Dillon, I thought looked really good. The Corner Canyon product for Utah. He came in flying off the edge a couple times and making some things happen. He had the big hit in Nico on the sideline. Broadcast, I thought, said it perfectly. That's not a flag. That's just a really good hit in bounds. Paul Fitzgerald had a quarterback hit. Lance Holtzclaw started to emerge for Utah. The defensive end rotation was frequent. How about Leavani Demuni lay in the wood early one time? But Utah just has so many linebackers. It's hard to keep everyone on the field. You have guys like Jonathan Hall out there blitzing and making things happen. I love watching Morgan Scalley's defense just go to work. It is just absolute insanity. If you're an offensive player, there's like, you just got to hate playing against it because the absolute chaos and calamity that happen on every single play, it's unreal. Where's the pressure coming from? What is Utah doing? I'll also say this. Utah asks so much of their corners and safeties. Like, we know this, but it's just funny watching how much they ask of their corners and safeties. It's like, you are going to be on an island almost the entire game. Yes, sometimes Teo Johnson's back there, but so frequently it's like, it's you one-on-one out there because we're sending the farm to get home. And Nico wasn't ready for the farm tonight. He was clearly rattled. He was shaken. And this Utah team, they kept it going. The game plans on both sides of the ball. Utah clearly outcoached UCLA in this game. I don't even think that's a question. And just so impressed with this Utah team. Lander Barton looked back. I love how Utah was using him to rush the passer at times, how he was, just coming through and making big stops there as well. So many guys for this Utah team just stepping up. I will say I was a little concerned with some of the defensive tackling stuff. I'm going to blame that more on game one and the fact that Utah was less physical in fall camp, Kyle Whittingham said, but so many guys stepped up and made plays and made things happen throughout this game. It was just an absolute treat to watch this Utah team go to work. Also, I want to shout out someone who I thought was really good tonight, Dallin Bentley. 5 catches for 31 yards, was consistently in, throwing and making big blocks. I had no idea what Dallin Bentley's role with this team was going to be. Honestly, because we heard the tight end position might be reduced, which, by the way, seemed extremely over-exaggerated. I just wasn't sure how much Dallin Bentley we'd get. And he was really good. And he had a couple tough catches over the middle of the field. Also, speaking of tight ends, JJ Buchanan looks absolutely fantastic. Otto Tia did end up getting in at the very end of the game. That's a guy at 500 yards at Utah State. And the fact that JJ Buchanan is already playing over Otto Tia is just a testament to Buchanan and how fast he's hit the ground running with this Utah team. You can see the athleticism and explosiveness fully on display. Just like you could on Tobias Merriweather's one reception. Drew the pass interference earlier, but then also was able to get in and make a play downfield. And isn't just so much fun to watch Devin Dampier sling the pigskin out there? My gosh, I can't even tell you. I'm sure you guys can relate to this too, right? Like, how awesome was it to sit back, watch a Utah football game, and be able to, well, number one, just watch a good offense, this is a great offensive performance tonight. But also, I was scrolling my Twitter timeline, and everyone's talking about the Utah offense. It's been 2 years since anyone has wanted to bring up anything meaningful about the Utah offense, and the Utah offense in some ways stole the show tonight. Devin Dampier just so incredible. He just moves at a different speed than everyone else. He is going to be so hard for opposing defenses to deal with. I know he threw 12 interceptions last year, but I felt like a lot of people were really tangled up on the number 12. Whereas if you go back and actually watch the interceptions, yeah, there's some bad throws. He made some mistakes. It was his second year as a college football quarterback. But what did he do in the offseason? He grew into a stronger passer and a better decision maker. He really didn't put the ball in harm's way too many times tonight. He threaded the needle on a couple of tough occasions. He bought time and then made something happen downfield. He took off running and made things happen frequently. He needs to slide more. I saw you guys were tweeting that on social, and I totally agree. He's got to slide more. He's got to get down more. But Devin Dampier, it was tremendous. Utah was tremendous. To shout out Dallin Bentley, a guy I mentioned, Smith Snowden. I love how Utah used him. I'm so amazed. Some guys are just naturally good at football. Smith Snowden has not been practicing on the offensive side of the ball, as far as we know, until this past fall camp, maybe a little in spring ball, whatever. But my gosh, just his ability to naturally make defenders miss is absolutely remarkable. So impressed with what he was able to do out there. Just time and time again, just someone who, it's like, why is Smith Snowden getting the ball? And it's like, oh, he made him miss. Oh, he made him miss. He made him miss. Like, it all happened so fast. It all happened so quickly. And UCLA just didn't stand a chance. That defensive line didn't stand a chance against the Utah offensive line. Thought the Utah receivers did a good job getting open. Devin Dampier did a really good job getting the ball out very fast, though, right? Ryan Davis was someone who benefited from that a little bit. Him and Larry Simmons couldn't quite get on the same page tonight, but I still expect that to be a strong connection for Utah moving forward. And then the Utah defensive line just totally threw off and dismantled Nico and that UCLA offense. They had nothing going right for them in the second half. I mean, the fact that it was a 43-10 win for Utah. This is a team that missed a bowl game last year, Utah, and they have retooled. And I will say, part of this game is how good Utah is. Part of it is definitely how bad UCLA was. I think UCLA can get better as the season rolls on, but there were a lot of concerning things tonight. I mean, Nico did not look great. A number of bad and missed throws as well too, right? So credit this Utah defense, credit this Utah team. Kyle Whittingham said he's become a better listener. That was one thing recently, was asked, hey, how have you changed? He's like, I've become a better listener, I think. Well, it looked like to me, Jason Beck was just able to run his offense tonight. And Utah, it was better because of it. If this is how the Utah offense is going to look, if Devin Dampier and Jason Beck can do what they do best, and they don't have to worry about Kyle Whittingham saying, no, we need to do this, no, we need to do that, then this Utah offense can do tremendous things. Because also that 1-2 punch at running back, Naquar Rogers, Wayshawn Parker, tremendous. Wayshawn's first touchdown run. I was really excited to see Rogers get in late in the game as well too, because it felt like it was coming, and he just powered his way in like a sledgehammer And it's a great combination. The Utah running backs can break tackles and make guys miss because they run hard. But what do they have in addition to that? An offensive line that does not enable them to get touched until they're like 5 yards down the field too. So just so impressed with this Utah team. I mean, I'm trying to even, like, if you were to say, okay, who on Utah did not play great? I don't even know. Like, it was so incredible what this Utah team was able to do. Just absolutely dismantled the UCLA Bruins. How about 6 for 6 in the red zone tonight? And this is a team the broadcast brought up. Utah had the 10th worst red zone offense last season. They started 6 for 6 tonight. Utah was absolutely tremendous on third down throughout this game. I mean, they were like 7 of 8. At 1.2, let me see if I got the numbers on what Utah was. 14 for 16 on third down, while UCLA was 2 for 11. Like, that's just hard to comprehend. Like, that's how good this Utah offense was. That's how good Jason Beck, Devin Dampier. How many times was it just like Utah's going to run the ball here on third and manageable? Almost all of their third downs in the first half were like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 too. It's just a massive compliment to this offensive line for, if you're going to run it on 2nd and long, we can get you in that position. Or just Devin Dampier getting the ball out quick, reading the defense, taking what they were giving him quickly. He has a cannon, Dampier. He showed that a couple times tonight with some long throws, but I like that he was making quick decisions and getting the ball out, and also a couple times making quick decisions and being like, I'm just going to tuck in and run. Also, one other thing, we're going to take you guys' questions in one moment. We got two things. Number one, it was awesome hearing some Utah chants at the very end. The fact that after UCLA kicked the field goal, right? Utah still had the lead, but UCLA kicked the field goal. The fact that Utah put up a 20-play drive, 90 yards, 9 minutes and 40 seconds. It's the first time since October of 2016 that this Utah team has had a 20-play drive that results in a touchdown. Just absolutely tremendous. I mean, it's just unreal. James Peterson of ESPN 700 had this tweet too, to talk about Utah's offensive success. Utah got 17 first downs in the first half. That's more than they got in 7 of their games last season. It's just Jason Beck. I mean, what else can you say? He was unreal tonight. This game plan, I had no idea what Utah was going to do next constantly. I didn't know who was getting the ball. It was going to be Smith Snowden. Like, Nate Johnson barely ended up even touching it tonight. Like, that was a guy we thought might have a huge role in the offense in game 1. And I'm trying to look now and see if they actually, and then they got 1 carry for 6 yards. And I'm pretty sure that came late in the game, but this Utah team, just so hard to predict, so hard to know what was going to happen. I love the use of the screens, right? You have tremendous athletic offensive linemen. Get them out in space and let them run. I love the misdirection we talked about from the very first play. Like, you motion Wayshawn Parker out. Everyone thinks Wayshawn Parker's going to get a carry. Wayshawn Parker's like, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team win. I'm going to throw a massive block on the sideline and spring a defensive back for a first down off the screen. That's what Utah was cooking up tonight, and the Bruins simply had no answers to it. Devin Dampier getting the ball out quick. Devin Dampier looked like he had all the answers to the test that UCLA was trying to throw at him. That's a large credit to Dampier, and a large credit to, as well, Jason Beck. This UCLA team had so many new pieces coming in. The strength of the team was the defense last year, and they swapped a lot out, and they were not ready. Utah had time to execute. The defensive line was really – did Dampier's jersey ever get dirty behind the line of scrimmage? It doesn't feel like it at all. So I was just so impressed with this Utah team. I'm sure I'll think of other thoughts as well, but Utah made Nico look so bad. Shout out to Devin Dampier for when all the country was talking about Nico in this game. Devin Dampier was the best quarterback on the field. It wasn't even close tonight. His athleticism is next level. He finished just shy of 300 total yards in this game and had 3 touchdowns too. Let's start taking some of your guys' questions now, and there are a lot of them, but I promise I will do my best to get through them. I mean, most of you guys, I mean, you're like me. You're just fired up to see this team get a win. And it's not even just a win, right? Like, it's how good Utah looked. I'm trying not, like, we got to be careful not to overreact because it's a combination. I think Utah is really good. I don't think UCLA is very good to start the year and played very good. I could see this team doing what they did last year and winning 5 of their final 7. Like, Nico's really hard to tackle in the open field. Kyle should not have called Nico Cam Newton or whatever he did, but Nico's hard to bring down. He was slippery a couple times, and he's tough. So I do give Nico a lot of credit for that. But UCLA, not great. Utah was tonight. What does that mean for this season? I mean, I do think Utah looked like they're one of the 25 best teams in college football. With this type of performance, considering they were barely missing out on the cusp, and now you have like even a Kansas State tonight who was struggling against an FCS opponent and already has 1 loss. I like easily expect Utah to vault Kansas State based on those early rankings, but everything Utah wants is ahead of them. This Utah team, based on game 1, I don't know how you can look at it and say that Utah doesn't look like a team capable of making a push to the college football playoff. This team absolutely looks like that. Does it mean they're the best team in the Big 12 and they're guaranteed to get there? No. But just based on the night, I don't know how we can't sit here and say Utah's a contender. They were a quarterback away in many ways last year. All those one-score losses, I think they got that quarterback. Like, I'm ready to say that. We all thought they did, and then he just was absolutely tremendous. So totally agree with all you guys that are fired up. Chewy Gonzalez said, I have the defense can get better at tackling. There are quite a bit of missed tackles. There absolutely were. Nate Ritchie missed some. Jackson Benny missed one or two his first game. Teo Johnson still. That was a little disappointing with Teo because that was like the one thing, and it was the first game. Nico's tough to bring down. Also, how about Anthony Woods making some plays out there for UCLA? He was committed to Utah, the Idaho back, 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden he's now on UCLA. He laid a couple of tough hits. Mikey Matthews running around out there too. I actually heard the Utah fans booed Mikey Matthews, which is funny. I hope those guys have success. Obviously we didn't want that success to come today. It was cool to see Anthony Woods back on the field though, considering he battled so many injuries last year. But yeah, this Utah defense has to tackle better. One thing I'm curious about of like Jackson Benny, are we just going to see him each and every week? I did not see Rabbit Evans out there at all. Based on how he closed last season, I thought he was going to be a major piece of the puzzle. Kyle Whittingham did say they were a little banged up, so I'm leaning towards thinking he was one of the ones who was absent. But yeah, Utah's got to clean up some of those tackling a little bit, although I do think Nico is an elusive quarterback, and that was definitely part of the reason why too. Logan Scow said literally could not have asked for anything better. I mean, we couldn't have. I mean, it was a thrashing of the Bruins in Pasadena. Hey, Utah won in Pasadena. We've been waiting for a few years to say that. Obviously, we want it to be the actual Rose Bowl, not just in the Rose Bowl venue, but still always nice to get a win, especially in that dominant fashion. Austin R. Grant said, finally, some interesting play calls and motion personnel, etc. All of it. I mean, the constant putting of guys in motion. Smith Snowden in motion. Is he going to get the ball? Nope, they're just faking it to him here. Nope, they actually are giving him the ball here. And just so impressed with those guys' ability to make defenders miss and get first downs for this Utah team as well, right? The screens, all the fakes, the extra offensive linemen in. How would you like to get through a Utah offensive line double team? Just have Keith Olsen as fullback flying in your face to just absolutely demolish you. It was so impressive. I loved what I saw from Jason Beck's offense. I'll be curious to see what Utah shows against Cal Poly and Wyoming coming up, because I bet it won't be a lot of wrinkles. It'll be a lot of the same, or very vanilla, as they want to keep a lot hidden for Tech, but they were so impressive, right? I had the game at 13-31 Utah. Someone said, yeah, great call by you, because Utah was right there too, right? Chewy Gonzalez said 9 different Utes touched the ball. The versatility of this offense is giving me hope. For those of you that are just joining, I said at the start of the show, how I watch these games is I have a Google Doc and I'm taking notes the whole time. I didn't just have a Google Doc up. I had to have the Utah roster up, because I'm constantly scrolling being like, who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Because so many people were getting opportunities out there. It was incredible just to watch. Sup BG said, man, that felt good. Vincent Orr said, we are back. We are absolutely back, because we got an offense back. Morgan Scalley's still our defensive coordinator, so we know that side of the ball is going to cook. And Utah is, unreal. Met our ceiling expectation. Tyson Reese, they did. Our O-line is legit. They absolutely are. The only thing Utah really needed to work on after tonight is tackling. Totally agree. That's the one thing they gotta shape it up. We know Utah's really big on that too. Like, I expect them to address that and that to improve as soon as next week. And yes, it's a lesser competition. Cal Poly, shout out Big Sky, but I do expect that tackling to improve right away. Great game, Utes. Where was Rabbit, Utah fan? 50-56. You took the words right out of my mouth. That to me is connected to the tackling struggles, because a lot of them is tackles. Well, unfortunately, some of them were Teo, and he wasn't great at that last year always, but some of those were the safeties, Benny and Ritchie. And I like them. They played really good games tonight, but that's one thing we can nitpick, is there were missed tackles. And I do think Rabbit Evans would have cleaned some of that up. I don't know that for sure, that's why he didn't play, but we'll see if Kyle Whittingham gets asked about that post-game too. We're still waiting on the comments to trickle in as well from his post-game media session, trying to keep an eye out for those so we can relay and react to some of those. Last year we were live when Mark Harlan had the whole thing when he was very frustrated over those calls. So you never know what's going to happen on these live shows too. We'll see what happens, right? I feel like we just put the league on notice. We absolutely did see. Like, I do think we're not trying to overreact and say like Utah's the best team in the Big 12 all of a sudden. They very well could be, by the way. But I don't know how the Big 12 wouldn't take notice of what Utah just did when this team was a quarterback away last year. All those close games that they lost, the way that they have arguably the best offensive line in college football. The fact that they went into a Big Ten team's house, and I don't think UCLA, like they're probably a bottom 5 Big Ten team this year. But when you go into another P4 team's house and you just push them around and bully them like Utah did, I don't know how everyone in the Big 12 can't take notice, right? B Moore said, time to tell the other Locked On Network hosts that you were right. I don't know if I'll say that on like Utah as a whole this season yet. I obviously feel that way, but I will. I'm probably taking a victory lap on Devin Dampier. Like, I just don't see how all of a sudden he's bad at football. Like, I just think this is Devin Dampier that we're going to get all season. Friend of the show, Brian Brown, said he needs to go, Utah might have to evolve their offense and do a little bit more than some of the one read stuff. I do think that's fair, but I mean, Devin Dampier looked tremendous. Utah Utes 26 said Devin is winning the Heisman. I hope so. I mean, that would be absolutely tremendous. He's got to improve on some things, of course, and he's going to play a lot better defenses than the one that UCLA had tonight. But I said he's going to be top 10. There's been other people who said he's going to be right up there. I could see there's a world where he's in New York, right? They actually threw up the graphic that players who have thrown for 2,500 yards and rushed for 1,000 in a college football season, it was like Dampier, and then it was just like Heisman winners from the past. It was like Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray. I think Jalen Hurts was on there. Lamar Jackson. Like, all those guys won Heisman that were right there. Devin Dampier might have a chance to be there. A reminder, he nearly had 300 yards of total offense tonight too. The eye patch. I always appreciate the eye patch for tuning in. I like that Utah didn't go into a typical Whittingham cruise control when they were up 23-7. Totally agree. I was nervous. And even before the half, right? I was a little nervous. Like, I wanted Utah to be aggressive. I was a little nervous. Are they just going to try to run? And that's where I talked about earlier. I truly believe that this offense is Jason Beck's offense. I'm sure Kyle Whittingham might step in a time or two. But Kyle said he's become a better listener, and it felt like he listened to Jason Beck, and the results were plentiful for the Utah offense. I love that Utah stayed aggressive. They let Devin Dampier continue to air it out. They took some chances. They took a couple shots, but that's not the strength of this team. They don't need to take deep shot after deep shot. Take them as they come. Let Tobias Merriweather feast in one-on-one coverage. He didn't go crazy tonight. He should have had another 50-yard catch if not for the PI, but I still think we're going to get some big Tobias Merriweather games on the season. Really liked what I saw from the 6'5", 200-pound transfer receiver from the Cal Golden Bears. So I do like that Utah stayed aggressive. Chewy Gonzalez says other Big 12 teams were bad against other P4 teams. Cincinnati, Colorado, Baylor. That is absolutely true. And I think some of those teams are better, although I'm not sure how great Nebraska is. So I'm not reading much into Cincinnati. Colorado's just got so much new. I like that Georgia Tech team a lot, but that's the thing. Like, Georgia Tech won because they're a sledgehammer. Utah's a sledgehammer. Their quarterback might not be as much of a sledgehammer as Haynes King, but I fear Devin Dampier more than I fear Haynes King's legs, because Devin Dampier, how many times tonight does he just make guys look ridiculous? Like, these are P4 defenders, and some of these guys are high-level defenders on UCLA, and they're losing their footing, and they can't even keep up with Devin Dampier. He got away from that one Pee-wee sack where it was like the defensive end got his arm on Dampier, and that was when Utah was backed up deep in their own territory, and he just spins out of it and keeps going. Like, it's just tremendous what Devin Dampier is able to do. And I was not impressed at all with Baylor's defense. And Baylor's defense really, they let Jackson Arnold rush for 100. Is Devin Dampier going to rush for 300 yards on the ground? Obviously, I'm joking. Don't clip that. I know some of you might, but hey, clip it. And if it's right, then maybe that'd be kind of funny to look back on, right? So CE said I was missing Rabbit. Same. I think that was something this team didn't have. Wayshawn Parker is giving off Zach Moss, Tavion Thomas vibes. I like it. And I see it. I still think Naquari Rogers was really good tonight. I liked his vision. I liked the way he ran the ball. And Wayshawn did have the fumble. So that's the one thing against Wayshawn, right? Wayshawn ended up getting 11 carries for 62 yards. Wow. And the Rogers actually had 16 for 61. That's surprising that it was that much of a difference. But Wayshawn averaged 5.6 yards per carry. He is a more explosive back than Naquari Rogers. This should continue to be a 1-2 punch, but I do think Naquari should clearly be number 2 to me. I still think Wayshawn gives Utah more home run hitting ability. I feel like he breaks a few more tackles, and I like what he brings a little bit more in the passing game as well, too. The eye patch said Parker looked great. He did. That first rushing touchdown right away. I've already talked about, I love that he was willing to throw a block for his teammate on the very first drive of the game. He came to Utah to obviously run the ball. He wants to get his 1,000-yard rushing, but he's like, hey, I'm willing to throw a block out here. And he did that a lot tonight. Like, Utah used their running backs to block frequently. I remember at Big 12 Media Days, I asked Spencer Fano what it was like to be in this offense, and he just said it's so much fun. And it looks like so much fun because there is so much going on. There is so much happening out there that's hard to keep track of. It's a truly creative offense and was just a blast to watch. The play designs were amazing from Tanner family. yeah, I totally agree. I mean, just constantly keeping the UCLA defense guessing, not knowing what in the world is coming next, a run, a pass. I mean, who's going to run it? Who's going to pass it? Why are there so many Utah defensive players on the offensive side of the ball? That's probably what UCLA was sitting over there. I was mad at Kyle Whittingham for not releasing a depth chart, and I still think that Utah should have. I think all college football teams should have to, but I'll say, Kyle, I understand why you didn't want to, because you had a lot of surprises in store tonight. And I'm sure UCLA will be sitting there after the game looking up like Jackson Benny and being like, this dude was a safety and he just cooked me on a route. It'll be like, yeah, yeah, he did. Silky Johnson said that game was therapeutic. I think we can all agree with that. I mean, after we had to sit through the Utah offense for the last 2 years to watch a 40 burger get thrown up in game one on the road in Pasadena, I'd say it was absolutely therapeutic. Chewy Gonzalez says there were very little flags thrown during the game, somewhat clean on that front for us. Yes, very encouraged. They had like Caleb Lomu got hit with like one penalty, right? I don't know if Utah ever got hit with a pass interference, a late hit. This Utah team was very disciplined. That was clear. They need to be disciplined in their tackling, but very disciplined. And I love that the refs stayed out of the game. That's one thing, like the LSU Clemson game, you can clearly point to missed calls. Baylor, Auburn, you can point to missed calls. That's not why those teams lost, but the fact that you can point to missed calls is unfortunate. You can't say that tonight. Vincent Orr says we need to stay focused on Cal Poly. They do. Here's what I think. This Utah team, they don't look like a team to me that all of a sudden is going to be like, we're amazing. Like, that's just not Kyle Whittingham's culture. This team knows the mountain they have to climb. There's also guys in this locker room, Michael Mokafisi, Jaron Kump, Lander Barton, just to name a few, and even some of the recruits, right, that were a part of the last good Utah team, the one that won a Pac-12 title back in 22, that went back to back. The fact that you have guys from that team that know what it takes to get to the mountaintop leave me confident that this team is not going to overlook upcoming opponents. I think Utah is going to be ready for Wyoming. Also, Wyoming did not look good at all this weekend. Like Utah will stay locked in. They're going to stay locked in. Wyoming barely beat Akron. And I love Akron, go Zips, but Akron does not have the best history. And the fact that Wyoming really struggled against Akron is a very concerning sign for Wyoming this coming season, right? Nicholas Lukowski said, thank you from, I don't know who from is, but if you're thanking me, thank you as well. Oh, my good buddy, Tom Hastings, UCLA made Utah look better than they are. We're watching the different, once again, like Utah is bad. Like how Utah's bad. That'll get clipped. UCLA was bad tonight. They were not very good. But I don't know how in the world you don't come away from that going like, wow, Utah's blowing them off the line of scrimmage. Like all the things schematically that Utah does, no one wants to play this Utah team. B. Moore said, I love seeing QB from California schools crying. That's funny. It was a rough night for Nico. The timing was off. He was getting pressured. He was getting beat up. He made some plays with his legs, so give him credit there. Utah fan 5056 said, JTU said Dampier would throw 2 picks. I actually did say that at one point earlier in the offseason. I might have said that on prediction show too. I thought Dampier would have some growing pains tonight. I thought he would still play really well, but I thought there would be some growing pains. And there wasn't. I mean, it's amazing how good he looked. His first game, not against P4, but in this slight, like working with new pieces, right? Devin Dampier had to build chemistry with his new pieces too. Yeah, he had Ryan Davis and Aquari Rogers, but all those other guys were new as well. And the fact that he didn't struggle at all, I feel very confident that he's not getting to 12 interceptions this year based on how good he looked tonight, the good job he did not putting the ball in harm's way. He's probably going to have a 2-pick game at some point this season. He's going to take some chances, try to make some stuff happen, but so impressed with Devin Dampier. And I love being wrong when it's about my quarterback turning the ball over too. That one guy said, so relieved, no, this first game, but Utah looked good on offense. They did. I mean, they looked incredible. And I think so much of that has to do with Utah offensive line. Everything on offense is predicated on timing. Trying to get, hey, how quickly is this guy going to get open, running the ball, the timing of all that, holding your blocks. It has to be effective. And Utah was just incredible up front. The rushing lanes, massive. The time to throw for Dampier, immense. And it wasn't amazing just how much Jason Beck just used like every blade of grass. The field seemed so open. And I went to a college football game last night and I watched, like, it was so bad. Like it was like a 10-9 game. And it was like offensive football was so hard. And then Jason Beck made it look so easy against a UCLA defense that routinely is good. This was their first game, a lot of new pieces, but so impressive with what this Utah team was able to do on offense. Brennan Smith said, I assume Smith was replacing what Nate Johnson would usually do because Nate got banged up early. Maybe, or maybe they're just, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I think this is what Smith Snowden's going to do all season. I think Nate Johnson, the very first play was to Smith Snowden. I think this was part of the game plan. How about Kyle actually telling us at Big 12 Media Days that Smith was going to be a big part of this offense, and that Lander would too? So cool for Lander to get a touchdown also. Like, that's a guy who's done so much for this university. Love seeing guys like Lander. Last year, Spencer Fano got in the end zone. Love seeing the guys who do so much and don't get the reward of scoring a touchdown be able to get into the end zone. Also, that was just a terrible coverage bust by UCLA. Like, the DB let him go like right by him. Good job by Lander, but just also like that's where Utah will have to continue. Like, that's just that you're not going to get that every single week, right? But I think this is Smith Snowden's role. We'll still see Nate Johnson. He was on the field. Utah faked it to him frequently, but Smith Snowden is going to be a large, with how shifty he is and just how tough he is, then Utah is going to continue to get him the ball. Nick Lukowski said, thank you from a Vol fan for exposing that kid, Nico. Absolutely knew this was coming. Great job, Utes. It was absolutely tremendous what this Utah team was able to do. It was incredible. I know all the Tennessee fans who stayed up for a hate watch, they were rewarded tonight because Utah absolutely mopped the floor with UCLA, and they made Nico not look very good. There were a number of just high and inaccurate throws from Nico, and his best plays were always with his legs. Logan Scow said Tennessee fans are just happy. They absolutely are. No turnovers, no sacks. Dampier, yeah, you're right. Offense didn't turn the ball over, which was huge. Nearly did. Shout out Michael Molkafisi jumping on that fumble. And no sacks. Yeah, Dampier didn't get sacked at all. And like CE said, that's because his spidey sense was strong. I love he did the web thing after one of the touchdown too. I love that. I love watching Devin Dampier play. Like, I know he obviously led Utah to a win. We're going to enjoy watching him. Devin Dampier, I do think, is one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in college football. Nearly 300 yards tonight. He can make anyone miss. He has a strong arm. He can throw the ball at a variety of arm angles. He's not like a statue like a Josh Hoover. Josh Hoover is really good, TCU's quarterback. He'll pick you apart in some ways, but Dampier can too. Dampier's brand of football is really exciting. I think we're going to see a lot of 4 jerseys in Salt Lake City frequently this year, right? Walker Olin said, I've seen enough to put us in the top 10. If based on tonight's performance, like Utah's not going to vault up to the top 10, but if you're saying to me, Utah continues to win, like they beat Tech, they beat West Virginia going into their first bye, I could absolutely see this Utah team climbing into the top 10 with how impressive they look tonight, especially because also like this UCLA team will improve. They will get better. They're going to get some decent wins on the season. I don't know if they'll be anything crazy, but they will beat some teams and be more competitive. And we will look back on that week 1 thrashing and be like, that Utah team was really good. I have a hard time believing that's not how this is going to go. Chewy Gonzalez says, JT, do you think Nico has buyer's remorse by not staying at Tennessee? I think by the end of the season, he will. That's my personal opinion on the matter. I didn't like his decision to leave. I feel like anytime you are part of something special, like he was in Knoxville, I think Morgan Wallen brought him out with him in one of his concerts. And that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking more so about the fact that as a true freshman, you got to the college football playoff. And you are now doing that at a place in UCLA where you do not have the pieces like you did last year. You don't have the running game, the offensive line, the defense. That's not there. A lot more of the success tonight had to be on Nico. UCLA could not run the ball. So it was Nico running was their best offense on scrambles, and every once in a while would make a play. He had a couple times he was able to find the open man on some of the blitzes, but Utah got home or they rattled him a lot and he would miss it. So I do think Nico will in the end. He won't after the first game, probably. He might, but I think long-term he will, because I don't think they're going to sniff the playoff. Tennessee probably won't either, but I think those two would have had a much better chance had they stayed together. Sione 2K said, this year is looking great for us. Go Utes. It absolutely is. I mean, with the way the offense looked, the way the defense looked, how can you not be just absolutely awe-inspired by this Utah team and not think that this is going to be a great year to be a Utah Utes fan? It looks tremendous. Utah has some weaknesses at key positions that will show up against a better opponent, but I don't think quarterback's one of them. I know offensive line is not. I think the play caller is fantastic. I think the defense, the secondary, and the linebackers are really good. And I was actually really impressed with the pass rush. Utah fan 5056 said JT said our defense would take a step back. I did. But after this first game, obviously they might not. Maybe they will get better. I didn't expect John Henry Daly and Logan Fano to look as good as they did tonight. I thought they'd be good. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it completely because I did say they'd get some sacks. But just the frequent disruption the Utah defensive line caused, maybe this team will actually take a step forward. Let's not forget, this Utah defense only allowed 20 points per game last year. I said slight step back, so I thought they'd go to 21, 22, maybe 23. But yeah, right now, maybe they'll be even better. And that's tremendous, especially if Rabbit Evans was indeed hurt. We're still waiting on confirmation for that. I want to see if we have gotten any Kyle Whittingham quotes yet. Let's check and see on that real quick. Has Kyle Whittingham, I've not seen anything yet. I'll look for some stuff soon too on that. But based on, I just checked someone's Twitter feed and I didn't see anything there. Vincent Orr said, let's go Utes. Absolutely. Calm down, Walker. It's a terrible UCLA team. It was not a great UCLA team, but hey, 492 yards on total offense. No matter who you're doing that against, if it's a B4 opponent, that's impressive. We look good. Utah fans are smiling. I like Dampier. This is Marmore and our team win tonight. Worth staying up till midnight. Absolutely worth staying up. I would have pulled an all-nighter if it meant I got to see this offensive performance. This is just, we've been waiting so long to see this from a Utah offense, and we saw it. And it was so impressive. And I'm so encouraged by the amount of weapons that Utah has. JJ Buchanan, Dallin Bentley's massive strides. Once again, huge shout out to Dallin Bentley. So impressed with his blocking ability and as well as just his ability to make those tough grabs and just consistently be in the right place. He's clearly improved as a route runner. And probably part of that, too, is the fact that he has a better quarterback as well, too. Chewy Gonzalez said this should put us in the top 25. It absolutely should. Utah should be in the top 25 to me. The defense looking as good as they did, the offense, just speaking back to more of those weapons again. Like Larry Simmons, if he didn't slip in the end zone, probably would have had a touchdown there. Tobias Merriweather looks like he could be a legit number one receiver. Smith Snowden has really emerged for this team. Ryan Davis, his connection with Dampier came up big a few times, too. So this was a Utah team that just impressed us in so many ways. I do think they belong in the top 25 based on what they showed tonight. In a week where so many teams struggled, the fact that a lot of people in the AP just barely had Utah outside the top 25 leads me to think Utah will be vaulting into the top 25 this coming AP poll. The Crusaders had too many missed tackles. Hopefully they can quickly clean that up. I think the next 2 weeks will be a great opportunity for them to clean that up going against lesser opponents. And I expect this team to be ready at home against Texas Tech. I think this team is going to continue to grow and improve in tackling. And as we said, maybe a potential personnel addition could also lead to that too being a little bit better. With, as I mentioned, I still think Rabbit Evans, there's a chance we're going to get to see him at some point too. I'm really surprised I can't find any Kyle Whittingham post-game stuff yet. Maybe Utah's just having a good time celebrating, but from what I can see, okay, here we go. I was able to find some stuff. Shout out Steve Bartle for putting some stuff out. First quote we'll go with is Devin Dampier. He said, I think we showcased we can be very consistent running the ball. That might be the understatement of the game. The fact that Utah can be consistent running the ball. If you go back and watch the tape of this game, you're going to see massive hole after massive hole. Wayshawn Parker, Naquar Rogers, Devin Dampier, they're all really good. Utah's offensive line will travel. It's one of the best in college football. Based on tonight's performance, I will say, I do think Utah clearly has a top 5 offensive line in the country, maybe even a top 3. But I also don't think UCLA's front's amazing, so it's a balance of like trying not to overreact or read into that too much too. Dampier also said he benefited from a lot of playing time within the pocket, but acknowledged it's been an adjustment for sure, and he's still learning how to execute better. He executed almost flawlessly tonight. I just can't remember many missed throws. He barely missed Ryan Davis on like the first drive. I actually would have rather had him run that one. I thought it was wide open, just the green grass to run it. It probably wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it would have been a monster gain. But he was really good. Devon shared that the team had a meeting where they emphasized last year was last year and they need to put it all behind them. Utah did that, and I think they did that as soon as this team came together and got to know what Jason Beck's offense wanted to do. And once the defense probably saw how much fun this offense was having, and the fact that they're flying around and making plays, I think that they realized, like, we're going to have a really good season. We have a chance to be a special team this year, and I think everyone quickly left the stench of last year behind, outside of the fact that I guarantee you they're still using it as motivation. So impressed with what this Utah team was able to do. Kyle Whittingham, in his opening statement, said he was proud of the way they played, thought the defensive guys they played that played both ways were great third down conversion success. Utah was 16 of 18 on third down. That is unheard of. Attributed the win to the offensive line. Totally agree. He's proud of the team, but it's only one win. Offensive line is the best unit that Utah has once again. Like, Devin Dampier is amazing. Jason Beck's awesome. The Utah linebacker core is incredible. Offensive line is the best thing they got. And I was someone earlier, I said I thought it might be the safeties, but that was me counting on Rabbit Evans being out there and also a higher level. And clearly he wasn't out there, probably hurt. And Utah's safety room was not one of the best parts of the team tonight. In fact, they had a couple missed tackles, but Teo still looked good in coverage. He just needs to clean up some of the tackling. Utah offensive line, I really didn't notice like a negative until the fourth quarter. Like, sure, there'd be a short run or two, but they were like, how often would Utah run the ball and lose yards? It just did not happen because this unit was remarkable. Absolutely amazing. So impressed with the Utah offensive line, just throwing bodies around, zone blocks, counter, whatever it may be. Also, just shout out to the Utah offense. Utah averaged 23 points per game last year, had 23 in the first half. And speaking of shout outs, Dylan Curtis. He missed his first PAT, a little bit of college jitters, I bet, like first road action and just first collegiate action. But then to drill the 56-yarder, which is the longest made field goal by a true freshman in his start at Utah, his first start, I should say. That was awesome to see. Shout out Dylan Curtis. Love that Utah is a kicker with a booming leg who already is making an impact as a freshman. Witt said Dampier was outstanding. Totally agree with that. The level of execution in the passing game, he said it needs to improve, of course. Does an A+ for Jason Beck's game plan. He's a masterful play caller. I know Kyle said he's gotten kinder, but that is quite the compliment to throw out there too, that he's a masterful game plan. And I agree. I thought it was too. Kyle got noticeably excited when asked about the 21-play, 10-minute drive. That was literally was his ideal kind of possession. Oh, totally. I mean, how can you not be just absolutely amped about that? Especially Kyle. What's his favorite thing to do to rest his defense is to run the ball. Kyle wants to play good defense and run the ball. And Utah they didn't do that all on that 20-play drive. They did some other stuff, but just methodically move the ball down the field, keep the other team's offense off the field. That's what Utah wants to do. That's what they were able to do thanks to Devin Dampier, a couple of big plays, and Utah just having ice in their veins on third down was absolutely so impressive too. I am so impressed with how things went for us in the opener. If you guys have any more questions, make sure you guys get them in. We'll probably start to wind this down in a little bit as we get to the end. I'm going to take all the questions you guys have, but I just say we'll probably start to wind down for a little bit. I'm so impressed with how things went tonight in the opener. How can we not be? I mean, I don't know many people predicted a big Utah win. Myself, right? 33-17. Didn't see 43-7 to 10 coming. That was just remarkable, right? Well, we dominated. Devin Dampier came as advertised more. He absolutely did. And like we mentioned earlier, this is a Utah team that Devin Dampier joins now. They're a quarterback away. Last year, so I see people sometimes like to bring up Devin Dampier's 5-7 record. Like, he led the fourth best offense on a yards per game basis in the country. 2,500 yards, 1,000 rushing, or 25,000 yards, 2,500 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. What was the problem? Oh yeah, his defense wasn't good. If his defense held every team they played under 20 points per game, that's an unrealistic expectation. But if that's just what they did, they would have been 10-2. That's how good Devin Dampier and that New Mexico offense was with Jason Beck. That marriage, Jason Beck, Devin Dampier, it's going to be tremendous this season too. Corey said, living in Vegas, love seeing JJ Buchanan get some play time and very happy with the running back and O-line production. Yeah, JJ Buchanan looked really fun. I mean, the fact that he is a true freshman, Fred Whittingham did mention that he's a guy who's bought in and really grown and has played very well. And just earned this opportunity. And that was clear tonight. He showed some shiftiness in his route running, was tough to bring down, just a massive target. He's Utah's tight end too. It seems like he made such a massive leap as an early enrollee through spring and now in fall camp that he passed Hunter Andrews. Hunter Andrews had the one carry late for 25 yards, but I saw a lot more JG Buchanan. Dallin Bentley seems to be this team's starting tight end. Credit for him for his growth as a blocker and just a route runner. And JG Buchanan's clearly number 2. The iPad said, how much you betting this win doesn't put Utah in the top 25? I think it will. We'll wait and see what happens there. Harry NG said, where's Tommy Boy at? He was there early in the comments, right? From a Vol fan, Utah looked great and they played great. Utah played absolutely remarkable tonight. Just going to say as though some of your fans need to relax saying your team's the top 10. We're excited. Let us have this moment. We're not going to be a top 10 team for now. We could get there. Like a reminder, ASU got there last year. We could get there too, right? Beck is the best OC ever. He had the best debut ever. I hope he's the best OC better. Let's not forget Utah did make 3 conference title games with Andy Ludwig there. The game passed him by, but he did great things. But I mean, it's the best debut I can ever remember. And I cannot wait to watch more Jason Beck game plans, especially as he gets film on like the Texas Tech of the world. The next 2 weeks is going to be vanilla. Like Utah will do what they did tonight, but they won't do anything different. I cannot wait for Big 12 play to see how Jason Beck changes his offense to counter what other teams are trying to do. I'm so excited to see just this Utah offense with the continued wrinkles. And I love how they get so many guys involved. Can't wait for Wheels to release the highlights. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Getting through some one. We didn't run dive left or dive right every single play. Yeah, we didn't. There was offensive creativity, and the results was a UCLA just absolute embarrassment. I mean, we just throttled the Bruins. It was so remarkable too. 2 seasons of struggling offense. The wait is over. Oh, Crow 13B, the wait is over. I said before, I think Utah's going to have a top 6 offense in this conference. Maybe I was too low. They could have a top 3 with how good they look tonight. Like, Utah's offensive line is so good. Like, Baylor could have a very good offense. They look good against Auburn offensively, but their offensive line is nowhere near what Utah's is. When you have an offensive line like Utah and a dynamic QB like Devin Dampier with an incredible play caller like Jason Beck, sky's the limit. Utah missing out on their preferred offensive coordinator hire, by the way, might have been a massive blessing in disguise. And I like Ben Arbuckle. I think he's going to do a good job at Oklahoma. They won today. I forgot they had Leftwich down at Texas Tech. He'll do a good job there. But Jason Beck was the right fit for Utah. I've already saw some people tweeting out like, Jason Beck's so good, he might be a head coach soon. Honestly, if he keeps this up, he absolutely will be. Like, I don't know how a team wouldn't hire him to be his program, but I'm glad we at least get him this year and hopefully a little longer after that. We're so back. Ashton Thorpe, we're absolutely back. I mean, I don't know how Utah's not back. Like, this team not being in the Big 12 title race would be shocking to me. Like, I just think that it was so impressive what this Utah team was able to do tonight. I don't know how they fall off suddenly. The defense looked tremendous. The offense, miraculous. Utah's not going to fall off. Let's celebrate. We've been starving for this kind of game. Crow 13B, you are speaking the truth yet again. Keeping it rolling here. Go Utes. F. Riction Hitch, I think that is. Go Utes. Absolutely agree, of course. Yeah. Complete game. Only the missed extra point, the minor flaw. High snap caused that. Might have been a high snap. I might have missed that if it was. I think the other thing, right, is the tackling, right? That's the other thing, too. Is just the tackling. They need to clean that up overall, too. The O-line dominated. They're as good as the preseason hype. They very well might be. I always said they were worth a really good group, but there's been a lot of people who said this is the best offensive line in college football. Those people may have been right based on how Utah looked tonight. Christian Gonzalez said flawless victory, did not live up to the hype. He exceeded it. Dampier did. Parker is a stud. Snowden was incredible. All those things are true. Dampier, Parker, Snowden, they showed out. They were probably the stars of the Utah offense. Snowden, a surprise star, but a star indeed. Loved what those guys showed. Steven Zero said, go Utes. O-line simply the best in college football. They might be, Christian. They might be. Great job by the Utes. John Henry Daly, anyone? Jacob Rivera, of course. He was incredible. The hand movements, where the hand fighting was amazing. The strength, the speed. How about Logan Fano's double spin move? He spun once, got blocked, and then spun again to the outside for a sack. Like, Utah's pass rush looked nice. Lance Holtzclaw getting in for a sack. Love seeing that. John Henry Daly's got a great shot to lead Utah in sacks. We heard he won more one-on-ones in either, I think it was spring ball or fall camp than anyone else that was reported. And he looked like it tonight. That was incredible. Let's go Jets. Utah win 1-0, and someone won money on a sports bet. Good for them. How long can these guys play both ways, though? If you rest them appropriately, a lot. I think Utah might have overused Smith Snowden a little bit on offense tonight. When he got on the knee at one point, I think you got to space that out a little bit more. But I absolutely think these guys can play both ways at a high level. You just got to lower the snap count. Like, Lander barely played on offense, it felt like. But Smith, they probably used a little too much. So it's the balance. But how do you keep him off the field? I still think I'd rather have Smith on defense than offense, just because I feel like Utah has other shifty guys, although Snowden might have been the shiftiest they had. Utah will run all over BYU. And, someone said, we're so back, baby. Yes, we are. Utah run all over BYU. That's going to be a great battle. I think they will. BYU did their thing against Portland State tonight, but I don't think as good as Keanu Tanavasa is, I don't think they're ready for this offensive line that Utah has. And I think that Utah will have success. Nowhere near what they did tonight. BYU's defense is much better than UCLA's, but I still see Utah having success running the ball. What else we got here? I can go to bed knowing my season tickets were a good idea. Yes, they were, CE. A great call on those. And I cannot wait to watch more of this Utah football team. We beat up a Big Ten team while BYU played a community college team. Hey, the Big Sky is FCS. It's not a community college team. That's me, Doc McThuggins. Great name. But yeah, obviously way more impressed with Utah than BYU blowing out Portland State. I wish Tobias had more catches, but that one for 35 was great. Yes, it was. And there were times that the other one he got pass interference on. He's going to continue to grow in this offense. The short game was working tonight, right? Like that 10 to 15 in the pass game for Utah. It was a slow death that the UCLA Bruins were basically Utah was feeding them. Like it was just slowly but surely taking what the other team was giving them, right? Utah had a much more impressive performance than BYU. Well, yeah, totally agree with that, right? Let's see what else we got. That's what I wanted to see from the O-line. Logan Fall. No, yeah, Dallin Bentley. I love that iPad shouting out Dallin Bentley. Like I said, so impressed with what he would be able to do. I would be angry at the world too if my name was okay. I won't finish that one. Oh, it's funny. I don't understand why some people pop up in the comments just to hate. Like we're just having that's always funny. Like some people always just are going to do that, I guess. So we're just going to keep moving on past those. Like, I mean, how could you try to be negative after a performance like this from the Utah, right? Our play calling is finally balanced for the first time in my lifetime. Great time. Great call. Tatum, right. I still think it's more of a run than pass, but it's much closer to balance. I totally agree with that. So impressed with what this Utah team was able to do tonight. And the balance is so key because it would be run, and then boot pass, and it would be an accurate throw. And let's not forget what Devin Dampier did tonight. Devin Dampier was 21 of 25 for 206 yards. And Utah had over 200 yards rushing as well, too. A balanced offense is a good offense. I think Utah is a very good offense, too. Tyler Hansen said Utah exceeded my expectations. What an amazing electric offense. We are so back. Absolutely are. Someone said Drake Toll better put Utah number 1 in the Big 12 power rankings. We'll see. Drake, if you're watching, he most certainly probably isn't. But if you are, I hope he puts Utah there too. Also, what a great job spending the wealth with the ball. Yeah, we talked about love seeing so many guys get involved. Great game. Slightly worried about the wide receiver. Interesting. Need to get those other guys not named Smith Stone to stay. I get that though, because if Smith were to get hurt, like you want to see the other guys, liked what I saw from Ryan Davis. Tobias Merriweather made a couple plays downfield, and let's continue to get Larry Simmons involved and maybe incorporate Nate Johnson more for some shiftiness. But yeah, we'll see what Utah does. They did rely a lot on Smith Snowden. I don't know if they can do that every week and he stays healthy. Maybe they can. Travis Hunter did it last year, but it's a risk. So we'll see. Hudson EC said, let's go, JT. Let's go, Hudson. That's what we love to see, right? Someone said, rub it in Drake's face. That's funny. Drake did have Utah picked third in the Big 12, though. So he is high on Utah this coming season, right? Let's see. We keep going. Cal Poly is better than UCLA. Okay, Tom, I don't even know what to say to that. Utah is the only Big 12 team to beat a Power 4 team. That might be true, actually. I guess Iowa State did last week, but that's a great point. Who else we got? Locked On Cougars, just stopping by to show love to my guy. Love you, JT. Love you, Jake. Jake's the best, man. I love Jake Hatch. He's GOAT. Shout out to Jake. Looking forward to crossover. The Utah BYU game could be a lot of fun this season. Jake's the man. Make sure you guguys head over and subscribe to Locked On Cougars. Even if you don't love the content, just give Jake the support. Jake's a GOAT. And he's crushing it over there. Jaden Kuhn, I was glad to see Utah didn't put the breaks on the second half just because they were ahead. How about that 20-play drive, right? I still go back to that. That was so much fun. Love that Utah stayed aggressive. Leslie, that says they looked really good. Leslie, they absolutely did. They looked fantastic tonight. Utah will beat Cal Poly 90-0. I won't go that far, but Cal Poly was, I think, picked second to last in the Big Sky. If Utah plays their card rights, I don't see why it shouldn't be what happened last year when Utah played Southern Utah. Not a Big Sky school, but FCS school. Well, Southern Utah, now a Big Sky school, actually. But to me, Utah should be out by halftime if they play their A game and do their thing, right? So as if we would have scored 90 on Portland State tonight, maybe. SpongeBob, thanks for joining, SpongeBob. Witt looking hungry, didn't let off the gas. Yeah, he looked hungry and he looked fired up to be out there. He looked rejuvenated, genuinely. Like, I think he just loved watching his team go out there and dominate a game. It's been since like Southern Utah that Utah did this. Like, they haven't scored plus 40 in a game against a P4 team in a long time. And Kyle was loving every second of it. He gave Jason Beck's game plan an A+. There was an Isaac Wilson sighting on the eye patch. Good eye, because Dampier's helmet got knocked off. They brought Wilson in. I was curious what they were going to do. I thought they just run the ball, but they actually motioned him out and they were going to have Hunter Andrews take a direct snap. Was really curious to see what that would have been, but unfortunately we won't get to know because because we didn't get to see the play, but love that they were doing there. Right. No, I'll get those Heisman stats up for the first half. If he's going to throw up some good Heisman stats next week, probably continue to build his case for that. Dampier will, but obviously a long season to go to. Someone said, again, do you think Nico has buyer's remorse leaving Tennessee? I think he will. I don't know if you do after one game. It's probably too early, but he definitely will. The offense looked great. Very high hopes this season. I'm nervous to play better QBs, though. That's fair, especially with how much Utah blitzed tonight. They are putting their corners in a very tough spot. I think Morgan Scalley will balance that out, though. Utah puts those guys in a very tough position by how much they blitz. That's something they got to be careful about, is leaving your corners on an island, because when you blitz like that, you're leaving windows open. The best QBs are going to hit them. But I do think that was Morgan Scalley tonight, knowing that Nico would not hit them based on what he saw last year. And if he would have hit him, they would have made adjustments, and he didn't. So they kept doing what they were doing. No Nate Johnson. He came in late. But I was surprised that they didn't use him a ton. I thought we'd get more Nate Johnson, but I'm not going to criticize anything offensively tonight. I mean, that was amazing. Let's see what else we got here. Thoughts on the Big 12 conference losses around the country. Jake M asked this. I really like Georgia Tech. I thought they beat Colorado. I do think TCU wins Monday. We could talk about that more on another show. Kansas State came through. That was big, right? I thought Nebraska was better than Cincinnati, so I'm not surprised about that one. And, I feel like I'm forgetting one, but for the sake of time, I'm going to keep it moving. But we will touch on some of those losses next week. Appreciate the question, Jake. I feel like Utah absolutely is an argument to be considered the favorite to win the Big 12 based on how they looked in this first week of the season. I don't know if any team impressed the country more in the Big 12 than Utah did with what they did against UCLA. That one guy said, looking good. Defense need to clean up the missed tackles. They absolutely do. Let's see what else we got. What high school team did BYU beat again? Erica, that's funny, whoever that is. Should Devin Dampier play versus Cal Poly? Yes, absolutely. Still keep him in rhythm, keep him going. Make sure he's not going to get hit. He won't. They'll keep him upright. Make sure he slides. Devin Dampier needs to slide more, but it was good. It was so refreshing watching a QB be able to make simple screen passes, unlike Wilson last year. Landon Cole, you're absolutely right. Wilson would miss those frequently. I think he could hit some of those this year now, but yeah, Dampier was able to hit him. The timing was there. That's one thing I was so impressed by. The timing was there. We better be better than 15th on the top 25. Someone said, JT, does Dampier play in the first half next week? He does. Utah wants to keep the momentum going I think we'll be in the top 25. I talked about that. Still got a lot of questions apparently. So I'll start to try to rip through these a little bit quicker. Appreciate all of you for hanging out though too. Utah Utah being the flag bearer of the conference, Big 12 fiction Hitch mentioning, yeah, Utah absolutely has a chance to be. Let's see what we got here. There's a lot of comments in here. I did not. A lot of these say they were submitted at 2:26 too. So I really didn't know I had this many comments left. Utah's CFB material. Let's see what we got here too. To stop. Oh, that's something else. The impressive thing about this win is it was a blowout on the road. Even if it was UCLA, they're still in a Big 10. Great point. Going on a road, blowing out a P4 team when you have as many new pieces still as Utah does. It's one of the most impressive week one performances I genuinely believe in all of college football. Let's see what else we got. Y'all hear Logan Fano went to the locker room but came back. I did not, but I didn't feel like I noticed him as much in the second half, so that makes sense. So hopefully he's okay. Logan Fano to start 25 looked like Logan Fano of 23, which was a great sign for Utah. Samir Lick, I believe that is, top 15 for sure. I think Utah's going to get there. And one of you other guys said that too, that Utah should be a top 15, but AP poll placed them at 23. I bet that's probably a good bet, Crusader, that Utah ends up at 23, but that's okay. Just keep winning, keep going there. And also because of some of Utah's going to win their next two games. I just feel very confident in saying that based on what we saw, especially from Wyoming. I don't see why Utah shouldn't be in the top 15 or higher, because there's going to be some teams that fall out too. Nico was playing like he was still playing the Buckeyes. That's a great point. The O-line was doomed. They absolutely were. Utah fans need to slow their roll. This game was impressive, but it was one game. And yes, it was, but they looked very good, right? Nico couldn't throw it. He just ran it. And Nico had some impressive runs, right? They gave Isaac Wilson 30 seconds on the field, but also, can we talk about the third string quarterback? Yeah. How about Bird Ficklen got in very late. By the time I was going live, Bird Ficklen got in. So that was cool to see. What happened with Teo Johnson? He just wasn't tackling great, but he made some nice plays in coverage too. Utah should be in the top 25. Where's Rabbit Evans? I'm not sure, but like I said, we all agree he should be there. That one guy, Utah moved the ball amazingly. Yes, they did. ASU defense struggled to pull away. I heard that. Not a great showing out of ASU. I think that's just a credit to Kyle Whittingham having his team ready to play. Snowden and Barton, both with offensive TVs. How cool was that? I've been seeing Lander getting in and Smith get in. Absolutely love it. Crusaders say ASU is mid this year. I hope so. Better for Utah, right? Rogers played quite a few snaps. Should we expect Parker to get more snaps than on average than today? I still think Wayshawn had more snaps than Naquan Rogers. Could be wrong. I think as the season goes on, we'll continue to see more Wayshawn Parker. He just looks more explosive. He looks better. I expect to see that, right? So I do think we see more Wayshawn Parker, even though I really liked Naquan Roger. Plus our plays were very quick and we could make a run out of nothing. I'm not entirely sure what that one means, but yeah, Utah ran the ball very well. Missed tackles need to be cleared up. Absolutely agree with that, right? Spencer Fano is tough as nails. Yep, he's a bad man out there, that's for sure. The O-line gave Dampier so much time. Do we think K-State and Baylor are going to be a problem, or are they not as scary anymore? Still a problem. I respect Chris Kleiman. I think David Aranda does a good job. They got some talented players, talented playmakers. To me, Utah should win both those games based on what we saw today. The only caveat I'll add to that is Baylor being on the road. It is tough to win on the road. Sure, Auburn just did it. And right now I would favor Utah in that game based on how much we saw them struggle with a running QB. But that's a long time away. That's going to be tough. Those teams are definitely still problems, but I think Utah looks to me like they're better than both those teams based on week one reactions, right? Let's see what else we got. I'm just happy the offense looked good. Same. Can we talk about the third string? Jake said, say it, JT, say it. See you on the Big 12 squad show. I think that was probably for what I had mentioned earlier. But yeah, I mean, obviously I feel like Utah's better than BYU if Jake is for some reason still watching. Appreciate him for commenting. Once again, Colorado lost at home, Baylor lost at home, and Cincy lost at home. I forgot about the Baylor loss. That was the other one. Like Baylor, that was disappointing. That was a massive disappointment for the Big 12 and a great opportunity I thought Baylor was a top 25 team this year, and their defense looked the same, and their offense was really good. But then like they gave up a special teams touchdown. It's like Baylor, clean up the little things, and you could have beaten this Auburn team that the SEC is very high on. So that was a very disappointing loss to see the Big 12 not come out on the right side there. Taylor Smith said, go Utes, my friend. Let's see what else. The Utah team needs toughness and consistency. That what makes a team great. You're right, Jordan. I think they have that. What else we got here? Can't wait for the Big 12 squad. Going to be a fun one. I'm excited to talk about some Utah. I said some comments I was concerned about Kansas State, by the way. I feel right about that. I'm not ready to completely go there, but I was a little concerned about Kansas State, not in this game, but just on the season. And they got a lot to figure out. KSU and Baylor aren't great, mostly hype. Yep. Jake came in once again saying, what's up, y'all? Congrats on the dub. Congrats on the dub too as well, Jake. I will say this, like, I do like when BYU and Utah are both ranked. Like, I love when that matchup is a ranked matchup. So I do hope the Cougars continue to have success and that can be a ranked matchup. I would love that. I think it is going to be a good game once again. Jake dub. Yep. Jake is a dub for sure. Love the way the running backs perform in the ground game in general. Is Logan Fano going to be the next mayor of Sac Lake City? Lastly, chee-hoo. Love it, Corey. John Henry Daly and Logan Fano is going to be the best race for the mayor of Sac Lake City we've seen in quite some time. That's my opinion. Right now, John Henry Daly is the edge. He had 2 sacks to Logan's 1, but Logan also, as someone said, might have gotten hurt. So that's part of it too. The football culture in Utah, especially with high school and local talent, there's tons of talented young players within the state. I love the culture for football in the state of Utah. Absolutely love it. Totally agree with that. A Big 12 championship game will be versus Iowa State. Based on the first 2 weeks of the season, those look like the best 2 teams right now. But we'll see what's going to happen. Anderson Bay said the field goal was sick. It absolutely was. John Henry Daly looked solid. He totally did. Let's see what else we got here. Iowa State isn't great either. They barely beat a not great Kansas State team. Yeah, we'll see. They didn't look great. That's for sure, too. Don't forget the 492 total yards, JT. It's hard to forget it. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, right? Kicker missed the first extra point and then drills it from 50. Yep, that's, I think that was just nerves. That's my biggest thing there, too. Also, we'll probably winding down, guys. Probably just take a few more of these before we turn it off for tonight, but appreciate all of you for hanging in there. And I do want to get to as many of these questions as I can, because I appreciate you guys staying up to me, talking some Utah ball, something obviously we all love to do, right? We had 0 turnovers. Yes, we did. That was very impressive. Iowa State is better. You guys are arguing about who's better. Surprised we didn't see Zipper or Carvalho. Trent Sims, you're right. No Darden Zipper tonight. We did hear some guys were banged up. Evans, maybe Zipper was one of them too. No Carvalho, no Cree Whitmore either. I thought there might be some Whitmore, none of that. So that will be That will be interesting. Thanks for bringing the news, JT. Let's go. I don't know what news I brought, but I love talking Utah football, so happy to do it, Jordan. We didn't see the full offense tonight. No, we absolutely didn't. We absolutely didn't at all. Can we just talk about our third string quarterback? I mean, I think Bird's going to be good. I just give him time. I actually like that they put Bird in and got him some game experience. I just want to make sure Bird redshirts. I would redshirt Bird for sure. Was worried about, Dexy Gaming said, was worried about how the wide receivers passing game would be, but not worried no more. Neither am I. Corey said, love the way the running backs performed. Oh yeah, that was the one. Did we already do that one? Yeah, I think we did. Ficklin should be QB2. I'd still roll with Wilson for the experience, but I liked what he showed tonight, right? Just happy our offense rocked. Joe Staley said they did absolutely rock too. More Hunter Andrews at running back. Tennessee did all right. They crushed the Orange. Wow, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm so grateful that all of you tuned into this. I don't think I had any idea what I was getting myself into when I said I would take every question on here. We were at an hour and 11 minutes. Wow, like I said, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much for all these questions and comments. Honestly, what I'll probably do is on another show this week, I'll probably try to go through the rest of these comments and talk about what Utah did. But I mean, I'll probably go for another like 5 more minutes, but I'm also just going to be real. I think my voice is getting there. It's been a day, and I love talking Utah ball with you guys, but I am also like devouring the Locked On storage with this. I promise we'll be back on Monday talking about this game as well too. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this game because I'd much rather talk about this game than, no offense, but just we know what Utah's going to beat Cal Poly, like we said. So not as much to talk about there. Also, for those of you still listening, we actually did pass 4,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support this show. If it is your first time, like and subscribe. I want to do these live post-game chats as frequently as we can to. The goal will be every week of the season. Can we meet it? That's a question. That's the goal. But thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing to this show. Absolutely love making it and so blessed to be able to share this community with all of you guys as well. Such a blast. Say said, thank you, JT. Thank you, Say. PNW Utes said, thank you for the late night. Love talking Utah balls with you guys. AKJ said, thanks, JT. Love talking ball with you guys. Yes, Anderson Bray, I am still here. There was a lot of comments. I meant it when I wanted to get through all the comments. I just didn't know. I think we easily have over 100, which I'm grateful for. Like, thank you guys so much. It's just my voice is like, we need to stop this. So as I said, we'll probably wrap this up in 2 minutes. Just like, I don't like stopping at like 113. That's what it would be. I want to get to 115 at this point. So that's why we're waiting down. I know the numbers of you are winding down as well too, but just thank you guys again. If you do have any more comments, you can try to throw them in here. Time for bet. It is Crusader. Thank you guys as well. Someone said to, oh yeah, pick 6 next week. I would love to see that. Let's get the streak going. I will say, Paula said, thank you for everything, JT. Thank you, Paula. I'm going to go back through one of the third segments on my show this week, and maybe even earlier. We'll be going through and answering the rest of these questions. So if you guys tuned in, I said I would answer all the questions. I'm keeping my promise. I'm just not going to answer all of them on this stream tonight because, as I mentioned, I am getting tired. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in once again. Just an absolute blast talking Utah football with all of you. You can get your last few comments in. I'm going to shut this stream down in about a minute. And then tomorrow when I record, I'm going to, as I said, slowly but surely make my way through the rest of your comments and questions. So grateful for all of you guys that you tuned into this tonight. I seriously love talking Utah ball with all of y'all. Thanks for the comments, even the ones that take aim at me. I just love getting to do this with you guys. Seriously, such a treat, such a blessing to be able to talk ball with a community of Utah fans. I mean, I only graduated from Utah 3 years ago, y'all. Like, I love this team, and I have a blast talking about it. I can't wait to talk about it. We're having some fun on the squad show this week. We're going to do the individual shows. We'll preview Cal Poly. It's all coming up on Locked On Utes. But the Utah Utes, the victors tonight. Utah looks scary. That was John's comment. They absolutely did. A dominant win for Utah. An incredible performance. They absolutely thrashed the Bruins and Nico Iamaleava. I think I butchered his name, but that's why I didn't even try it till the very end. Devin Dampier and Jason Beck help Utah absolutely decimate the Bruins. That's going to do it for today's live Locked On Utes. I'm JT Wistersill. Thank you for tuning in. A reminder, we'll get to the rest of your comments on a future show. That's going to do it for this one. We'll see you next week. Go Utes. Offense is back. Let's go. Good time to be alive.